Hi everyone, I'm Gabriel Aloisi of Shake Creative, and this is a presentation that we've put together called Branding, the Art of Molding Your Perception in the Marketplace. What we're going to do with this presentation is show you how successful companies brand themselves and what you can do and the steps you can take to build a strong, powerful brand for yourself. So, first of all, as an introduction, what is it? What is branding? We like to say it's the feeling that you give your potential clients. It's also a mental association of words, images, and emotions that yourself, product, and service presents. So branding is a lot more than just great graphic design, although branding does involve graphic design. It's really the whole picture that your brand, that your company gives to the potential client or consumer. Who needs it? A salesperson needs it, believe it or not. Service providers need it. And of course, like you'd think, businesses need it. When people think of branding, they generally think of businesses, but it actually extends to both salespeople and service providers as well. Some people say, why me? Why do I need branding? Well, whether you're a corporation or a salesperson, your perception in the marketplace is directly affected by how you present yourself or your product or service. And perception drives sales. Delivering on that perception is what gains customer loyalty. And the best brands know that loyal customers are the most valuable customers. So this is just a hokey example, but who would you rather buy from? The slick used car lot salesman or the professional looking, nicely groomed luxury car salesman? I think we all know the answer to that question. So, as a consumer, especially in today's society, there's a lot of choices out there. So good branding answers these questions. What do you have that I want? What makes you so special? And why should I choose your product or service? When you look at a store shelf, there could be 10 products that are very similar. Why would I choose you over the competition? And good branding helps make that decision easier. There's 4 elements of choice when someone has a choice. It's differentiation, relevance, esteem, and knowledge. And we're going to go into each one of these a little bit more detail. Differentiation is what makes your brand unique. What sets you apart in the marketplace? It could be the packaging. It could be the customer relationship that you give your clients, the customer service that you provide for them. What makes you unique? What makes you different? That's the most important part of branding. It's the first foundation of branding. If you haven't answered that question for yourself or your company yet, I recommend you write down a list and brainstorm a little bit and come up with that. Once you know how you're different, you can better brand yourself, better market yourself, and you'll turn into more sales eventually. There's different things for different targets. So both of these are balls. One's a soccer ball. It has a very specific use. It's a game. Whereas a stress relieving ball, yes, it's just a ball, but it's different. It relieves stress. People put in their hands when they're at the office and they're tired and their boss is all over their back. That's the kind of ball they need. A soccer ball in that instance wouldn't be very useful. Just like when you're on a soccer field, a stress relieving ball wouldn't be very useful either. This is a very simple example of differentiation. The next pillar, as we like to call it, of branding is relevance. How appropriate is the difference? So these are 2 boxes. One just happens to be white and one happens to be a brown color. You know, what would influence your choice here? To me, it wouldn't make a difference. I don't think it would make a difference to many people. If I'm going to mail a package, I'm going to choose whatever box is probably the cheapest. So at this point, yes, they are different products, but they're not relevant. So it's important that you're not only just different, but you're actually different in a relevant way to the consumer. Esteem is how well regarded are you? We'll use a very basic example of going back to these guys. You have the shady used car salesman. You have the slick guy. Who has more esteem to you? This is how many people judge what to buy. Everyone strives for the Mercedes over the Ford Fiesta, I would say. Whether or not people own it or not, that's another story, but everybody would, if given the choice, would choose the Mercedes over the Ford Fiesta. So esteem, Mercedes being a luxury brand, would would drive sales for them. And lastly, knowledge. How well known are you? If nobody knows who you are, then the other things aren't very important. We'll use this example of Chanel number 5, a brand that has a lot of esteem. And it's also very well known, whereas Gabe number 5, made in Florida, which is nice smelling stuff, doesn't have much brand recognition. And if those two products are on a shelf and they're at similar price points, I think we all know which one we prefer and which one we'd go ahead and spend our hard-earned dollars on. So good brands aren't made, they're developed. It takes work to create a brand. It takes a lot of work to be different, to be relevant, to have esteem, and to stand out from a crowd. The number one key to branding is consistency. When we're designing for our clients, consistency is one of the most crucial and critical aspects of how we design, starting right from the logo design to the identity design to the product packaging, advertisements, billboards, online presence, their social media. Everything needs to stay consistent. And why is that? Consistency is the foundation we're going to lay. Because when things are consistent, we know what to expect. And once we can expect something, we can begin to trust it. And once we trust it, then we're going to buy it, and we're going to continue to buy it. So this graphic really lays out sort of the foundation of proper branding. It all begins with consistency. So consistency in your appearance, again, back to your design, back to even how your employees dress, to the way your office looks. These are all important aspects in these first impressions that need to be consistent. Your service. As a customer, if I'm going to come to your brand, am I going to be treated the same way every time? Or am I just a number? If I call your customer service hotline, will I be treated one way? Whereas if I walk into a store, I'll be treated a completely other way. That's an important thing to analyze in your own company. I said it before, but your print and web design needs to be consistent. Your advertising approaches need to be consistent. To me, at least, the best ad campaigns take a theme and modify it from there. So a very similar theme or very similar message may be portrayed in a different way, and you start to connect with it. And you could think of Real Men of Genius ad campaign that Budweiser and Bud Light came out with. It just became a very funny, consistent way to spread the Budweiser name. And I'm sure you can think of a lot of other examples of ways brands keep their advertising consistent or take a certain model and spin it off in different ways. And consistency, your personal touch, the little magic you put in everyone's day, or the way you go above and beyond to be consistent, is very important. So let's look at the opposite of that. Let's say our foundation is inconsistency. If we have inconsistency, we have no expectation. And if we don't know what to expect, then we can't really trust you. And if we trust you, why am I going to buy from you? So that's a very simple demonstration of the opposite and where you don't want to go. I want to kind of shift gears a little bit and just show you how brands have built themselves design-wise and stylistically. They've built themselves so well that I don't even need to tell you what this company is. You see the symbol and you know it. I think we all know these logos. Target. I'm sure all just came to your mind. Apple. I don't need it to say Apple. I see the Apple. I know that logo. In fact, it's right on the computer I'm making this video with. So if I see that, I know what it is. Shell gasoline. AT&T. I think these are all very well recognized symbols throughout the industry. And this is what everyone's trying to achieve with good branding. So, how do we do it? These are my personal suggestions. Don't be afraid to be different. Think outside the box. Do things in a different way. That's obviously the easiest way to differentiate yourself. But to take a different approach, to look at things from your customer's perspective. any of those types of things. Create a perception which becomes an expectation. Use a creative or positive approach. Be consistent and find ways to add value. Always focus on the positives. This is something Shake Creative especially recommends to our clients. A positive is 90% more effective than a negative. If you see any of the ads that come from our agency, they take a positive spin. If any of you saw the movie Inception, the main character played by Leonardo DiCaprio alluded to that exact thing. When they decided that they were going to plant a thought in someone's mind, he said a positive is much more important than a negative. Let's plant a positive thought rather than a negative thought. And just a kind of an interesting example of why you always focus on the positives. Where do you do this? You do this in person, on the phone, in print, and online. Again, all channels of how you reach your clients need to be consistent. They need to be different, they need to be relevant, and they need to build esteem. And when? Now, later, and repeat. So you can start right now making up your list or thinking about ways that you can use these pillars of branding to build your company. Good brands create loyal customers, as we said, and you'll know that right away. If you see sales and you see that cash register dinging or that online store getting return visitors and return buyers, you know it's working. If you don't, if you see a client come to you once and you never see that person again, and that happens over and over and over, you know that you need to work on your branding. So I hope this was interesting and enlightening for you. If you have any other questions, please call us 813-344-4769 or visit us on the web at www.shaketampa.com, and we hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.